Jungle Cruise is yet another attempt by Disney to turn one of their theme park attractions into a movie. As most of us know, those don't usually go well most of the time. Let's look at their previous attempts. The first movie based on a Disney ride was Tower of Terror, a TV movie starring Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst. It has an interesting premise, and I like that scenes were filmed inside the actual ride at Disney World, but almost nothing happens in it until the climax. The ending is extremely predictable, which didn't make the rest of the film seem worth it. It's just very forgettable. The next one they made was Mission to Mars. In case you didn't know, Mission to Mars was an attraction that existed at both Disneyland and Disney World, before being replaced by the pizza restaurant at Disneyland and Alien Counter at Disney World, which would later be replaced by something terrible. I watched the movie recently and it was extremely boring. Too many drawn-out scenes, very little reason to care about the characters. Though there were a couple of moments that made me laugh ironically. And while there are some cool visual moments, the CGI at the end is truly atrocious. This isn't a terrible movie, but it's not something I have interest in watching again. You'd think a movie starring Lieutenant Dan and LG Rhythm would be I'm just kidding. And War Machine would be more exciting to watch. Then there was Country Bears. Why someone wanted to make an entire movie inspired by the Country Bear Jamboree of all things is beyond me. It's still clear they didn't even try because this was honestly kinda lame with characters I don't really care about and musical numbers that serve no purpose to the story. The bear costumes look cool though. Haunted Mansion is another one they decided to make. Now, there's actually a lot of potential for a Haunted Mansion movie. It could have even been a horror movie, but instead they decided to go the comedy route and cast Eddie Murphy and not even put much focus on the ghosts. And yeah, the movie is labeled as a comedy, but I didn't laugh at any of it, and I can't even think of a time when there was even an attempt at a joke. The story is also not at all interesting. The references to the ride are extremely forced and only exist just so the fans can point them out. I found myself mostly bored while watching it, but I love the design of the mansion. It has a nice spooky atmosphere. And who can forget Tomorrowland? Well, actually a lot of people forgot about it. In fact, it didn't do well at the box office. But anyway, Tomorrowland exists and it is the definition of wasted potential. Despite being the name of the movie, we don't actually see much of Tomorrowland. Most of the movie is just the build up to getting to that point. The characters that are focused on are not even good at all. The main teenage character, played by a woman who was in her mid-20s at the time, is so unbearably annoying. Same goes for the little robot girl. George Clooney can be enjoyable at times, but he also can look bored during some moments. It's a shame because the visuals are amazing and every scene is very well shot. This could have been something brilliant, but it's just not anything noteworthy. This is definitely Brad Bird's worst film. So, as you can see, movies based on rides don't typically work. There hasn't been one that was well received or was good enough to maybe be the beginning of a franchise. Oh, right! Pirates of the Caribbean is a great example of how to do a ride-based movie. It has a great story, likable characters, and very entertaining action. It's so well made that there are people out there who don't even know it's based on a ride. It manages to stand out as its own thing. There are a few references to the ride here and there, but they're not distracting or forced. Johnny Depp kills it as Jack Sparrow. Oh, sorry, Captain Jack Sparrow. And of course, the music is absolutely phenomenal. This was such a success both critically and financially that it spawned multiple sequels. Though they aren't quite as strong as the first one, they are still mostly fun to watch. Except for Dead Men Tell No Tales. That movie sucks so hard. But I will always defend On Stranger Tides. If Pirates of the Caribbean is any indication, these types of movies can work if the people behind them know what they're doing. So what ride did Disney think could be their next hot movie? A ride known for its incredible dad jokes. Actually, that doesn't seem fair because there is a lot to like about it. When I did a ranking of the Disneyland rides, I put Jungle Cruise at number 26. I still stand by that placement, despite the updates that got mixed reactions and that a certain set of people get too angry over. Anyway, despite how low I placed it, I really like the ride. Though, when it was said to be getting a movie, I was skeptical. This also isn't the last time there will be a ride-based movie. There's also an upcoming Space Mountain movie, another Tower of Terror movie, this time produced by and starring Scarlett Johansson, which may or may not still be happening, and another Haunted Mansion movie that is not directed by Guillermo del Toro.
It was more the book. It was very scary, a lot more serious, because that's what made me survive my childhood. Monsters and cartoons, you know, and art in general. And I said, if we can give that link to the audience that they understand what it is to lose something and to gain something, then we would have done more job.
The Jungle Cruise movie stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and two-time Quiet Place survivor Emily Blunt. Also in the cast is Paul Giamatti, Jesse Plemons, Jack Whitehall, and some other people. The trailers for this movie made it look good, and to my surprise, it actually was good. Mostly. I should probably talk about my issues with it first before I get to what I like. There are a lot of movies out there that take elements from previous adventure movies like Indiana Jones, whether it be a quick little reference or a parody or paying homage to a famous scene that fans will recognize. Oftentimes when they do this, it doesn't feel like they are trying to steal the concept, like it doesn't feel like a ripoff. Now, when you have a movie where its main plot is centered around this without self-awareness, that's when it becomes a problem. Jungle Cruise tries way too hard to be like Indiana Jones. It involves the main characters going on an adventure to find a magical artifact before the bad guys get to it, and along the way, they experience various obstacles and puzzles and chase sequences. Even the atmosphere gives off those vibes. There's this one action sequence that happens in the first half that looked like it came straight out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. In their defense, the Jungle Cruise ride is located right next to the Indiana Jones ride, so I can understand the confusion. Not only does this movie try to be like Indiana Jones, but it also at some points looks like it's trying to be like Pirates of the Caribbean, which makes sense because Pirates was successful and they wanted to try to recapture that magic, such as the supernatural elements. It's kind of distracting and makes the movie not have its own identity. The CGI is also really bad. The movie doesn't have too much of a reliance on CGI, at least not until the climax, and I'll get to that later. But when there is CGI, it's some of the worst I've seen in a modern movie. There's a tiger that appears in some scenes, and it gave me flashbacks to the Dalmatians from Cruella. Obviously, it's too dangerous to have a real tiger on set, but there isn't a single real animal in the movie. I don't know why the animals look as bad as they do, considering they look amazing in Jungle Book and even in the Lion King remake. I guess most of the budget went into sets and hiring Dwayne Johnson, which is understandable. But yeah, I have to talk about the climax because this is easily the worst part of the movie. This is where we have a bunch of characters fighting for the thing they were after, and we get a whole overly CGI'd action scene in the dark. I found it hard to follow. Without giving anything away, there's also a fake out scene, but we already know the outcome, making it not as impactful as they want it to be. I'm sure they don't expect us to fall for it, but it doesn't do anything different with it, and it goes on for too long, like they're really trying to force an emotion on us. I found this entire climax hard to sit through. Most of the characters are fine, but not used well enough. Paul Giamatti appears in the first and third act, but he doesn't do much. I found Jack Whitehall's character to be unneeded and kinda annoying. It's also an example of doing the bare minimum when it comes to including LGBT representation, which is weird because we all know Disney is so good at doing LGBT representation.
I went on a date the other day.
What did you talk about?
My job, his job. And he cried as they were serving the salads. But I'm seeing them again tomorrow.
I think I know what's going on here. It's not easy being a new parent. My girlfriend's daughter got me pulling my hair out, okay?
Must have been would-be princesses, or perhaps another prince.
A bit of both. I suspect the same as you.
In case you couldn't tell, I was being sarcastic. This really needs to be said about Dwayne Johnson because I don't hear enough people talking about it. He is a very likable actor with a lot of charisma, and that really shows in this movie. But whenever he's acting in a movie, I don't see a character, I just see Dwayne Johnson. There's not much of a performance going on here. When you look back at something like Aladdin, it's blatantly obvious to the audience that the genie is played by Robin Williams, since the directors allowed him to do his normal shtick. But the animators, the writers, and Robin himself still gave him the right kind of emotion to make us connect with him as a character. I don't feel that way with any character Dwayne Johnson has played, but I'm probably in the minority on this one. Also, he hasn't been in any movie that was more than just good. I'd really like to see him in something great or amazing. Again, he has enough charm to be entertaining whenever he is on screen, but his range isn't the strongest. It's evident that most movies only cast him due to his star power as a way of getting people interested in watching. Often when I hear people talking about Jungle Cruise, they mostly talk about The Rock while almost completely ignoring Emily Blunt, which is a shame because Emily gave an excellent performance. Her character is well written and she provides a lot of emotion when necessary. But you know what? Despite what I said about Dwayne Johnson, these two leads have great chemistry. That's one of the things I really like about this movie. It wouldn't have worked as well if they didn't have a good enough connection. It's hard to believe the two actors have never worked with each other before. It really feels like they've known each other for years. Emily's character, Lily Houghton, is the more serious one of the duo, who is also very tough, while Dwayne's character, Frank Wolf, is the more outgoing one who isn't very trustworthy at first. He also has a tendency to do puns, which of course is a reference to the skippers in the ride. This was one of my worries when seeing the movie. I thought the ride references would be too forced like the trailer suggested, but that scene in the trailer works better in the context of the movie, and there were some funny jokes that weren't shown in the trailers. They got a good laugh out of me. We also get to know more about the characters as they go on their adventure. We do find out something about Frank, which I won't give away, but is revealed in a pretty cool exposition flashback, complete with insanely epic music. Apparently the music is a reorchestrated instrumental version of the song Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. Since I don't listen to Metallica, I didn't know this while watching the film. But wow, hearing this music in a theater really gave me chills. Definitely worth the price of admission. I also thought the villain was very fun, mainly due to the performance of the actor. I expected him to be a bland, power-hungry antagonist, but he's actually quite entertaining and can be a genuine threat at times. The movie provides occasional twists that can be effective. When it's not trying to be like other movies, it really shines. The sets also look amazing, the cinematography is great, and the action, with the exception of the climax, is a lot of fun. I really admire the energy put into this. I never felt like the pacing was slow or too fast. Every scene serves a purpose in some way. It doesn't waste time on anything that isn't important. Some people might find the scenes where the characters are just talking to be a drag, but I didn't. I thought they were very well needed since they moved the story along and helped establish the characters. It managed to keep my interest throughout. Jungle Cruise is a good movie, but far from perfect. It has some likable characters and a lot of fun and exciting moments, but a lot of it feels like it was done before with not much new added. Still, it's one of the better ride-based Disney movies, and I recommend it. Now, if you want to see a truly amazing movie, I suggest watching The Suicide Squad. Seriously, it is amazing. You should definitely check it out. But yeah, Jungle Cruise is good enough to watch if you just want some fun adventure. To be blunt, it is a rockin' good time.